It's time for the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. The podcast you look forward to for all of your news and reviews of the best comic books hitting stands. Whether it's DC, Batman, Wonder Woman, Marvel, Spider-Man, Image, Spawn, Saga, Boom, Once and Future, Power Rangers, or whatever book or publisher you follow. We cover them all here. This is the place for you. That's right. It's for everyone. This is the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. Let's get it.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. I am your host, Theo. This episode, I am going to be sitting down with comic book writers Rob Jones and Matt Hardy, and we're going to be talking about War of the Worlds, Thunderchild. It is a reprinting of their Kickstarter campaign from a few years ago, and Titan Comics out there in England is reproducing it in a hardcover format. They're actually doing two covers, one that will be on regular bookshelves at stores like Barnes & Noble, and then a direct market variety as well that will be done at comic book shops. But we talk a little bit about the Thunderchild and the ship, which bore its name in H.G.Wells' famous story, and just talk about how they came together to do the series, how they were able to get together and collaborate with the artists on the book, and what they expect can happen somewhere down the line about a possible backstory coming out of this. Now, if you are familiar with War of the Worlds, you do know that the Thunderchild was an actual ship that was in the book, and the ship actually sunk during the attack by the Martians. But this story, the Thunderchild, kind of gives a backstory as to what happens in between the moment they realize that the planet was under attack and the moment that they sunk in the ocean. But after that, I'll be giving my top 5 from this past week, as well as doing my indie spotlight, which ironically, I'm happy I selected this particular issue considering some of the news that came out from it. But again, here is my interview with comic book writers Matt Hardy and Rob Jones talking about War of the Worlds, Thunderchild, and I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you all on the other side. Hey folks, so I'm old enough to remember the original H.G.Wells book, War of the Worlds. And if you were a follower of the Thunderchild campaign on Kickstarter a few years ago, this is for you. I am happy to have with me Matt Hardy and Rob Jones, the writers of War of the Worlds, Thunderchild. It is a republication of the Kickstarter campaign they did a few years ago, and it's being published this time by Titan Comics. It will be out in June. Matt and Rob, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, Theo. Thank you.
We're good.
We are good. Yes.
I found the new backgrounds for my screen, and I have snow. So, yeah, my daughter's over the moon. The fact we have snow because we never get snow again.
Yeah, I was in London. I was in London a few years ago, and I usually travel for Mardi Gras every year. I'm from Louisiana, and so I leave the state. And a few years ago, I decided to travel to London because I have a friend who lives there. And I'm like, I'm coming in February. You're like, yeah, it's gonna be cold. You better be ready for it. I'm like, okay. And so I have never been in a place where it's, other than Louisiana, where it was 35 degrees, I believe, in February with 85% humidity. Mm-hmm. You don't do that unless you're surrounded by water, which I'm used to being in Louisiana. But man, that was some cold, and it had maybe 15, 20 mile per hour winds, coming off the water. It was quite an experience, but I absolutely loved London. Mind the gap became my favorite phrase. I use it all the time. So yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to come back. I can't wait to come back.
Mind the gap between the train and the service. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Matt's a
I mean,
southerner.
we're
You're a southerner. I'm northern.
I'm on the south coast of England, so I'm about an hour and a half from London. Rob is the other direction. Rob's way up north.
Well, I'm up in Yorkshire. I'm basically where I basically live.
In
I
Yorkshire.
live in if it was Game of Thrones, I live in the north. I live in the north.
Gotcha.
Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in the King James district. I was actually right across the street from the King James station. So I was at the Conrad right there, but not too far from Parliament. So it was.
All right. So if you were around, if you were there when obviously our book was said, that would have been absolutely trolleyed by the Martians. you'd have been dodging debris and masonry. Bloody hell. Okay.
So it's been years since I've read War of the Worlds, and I've been even longer since I saw the original movie. And everybody should know War of the Worlds, but tell folks about Thunderchild. What is the idea that you guys came up with to create the Thunderchild?
Do you want me to lead this, Matt?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was initially Rob's idea. So, I mean, Rob, go on, you're the best person.
Yeah, I messaged Matt on Facebook and I was like, Thunderchild. And he ignored me for a little bit. And then...
No, I said, that sounds great, Rob. What's Thunderchild?
And then obviously it was a case of like, right. So
I'd read I studied War of the Worlds at university. And I knew the book very well.
Yeah.
But it'd been years.
And this is the thing, we came at it from different angles, didn't we?
Yeah.
So like, my main kind of exposure to War of the Worlds is the Jeff Wayne musical version. Okay, so I don't know, obviously I don't know how familiar you are with that, Theo, you know what I mean? But Jeff Wayne in the 1970s, he did kind of like a rock opera almost, which blended elements from War of the Worlds into it, and you know what I mean, like the story, and created songs around it all. And my favorite song growing up from that was the song Thunderchild, which is like massive.
Everyone's favorite song seems to be Either Forever Autumn or Thunderchild.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who come up to us at conventions and literally buy the book off of us because they're like, oh, Thunderchild, I love that song, they say. And
exactly.
you've got to stop. They bought the book. But for me, coming from the novel, it's a page in the book. It's Thunderchild pretty much is a single paragraph, single page. And I'd completely forgotten about it until Rob went, no, Thunderchild, the song, the ship. I'm like, oh. And then I ignored him.
Yeah, and then what? We kind of left it for a bit. It sat there
for like 3 months. And then,
it was during lockdown.
And then lockdown happened and COVID happened. And we're like, oh, what can we do? Let's write some comics. What should we?
Yeah.
What's that Thunderchild thing? And we just went from there, didn't we?
And see, thing is, we wanted to approach it in such a way where we weren't just retelling War of the Worlds. And the beauty, like I say, it allowed us to have this setting, this backdrop that people are familiar. Even if you've not read the book or you've not heard the music or anything like that. The fact is, War of the Worlds is so pervasive. You know what I mean? Like in society and everything else, people will have a general kind of
everyone's got
knowledge of it. Yeah,
war machines, the tripods. Everyone has a vague knowledge of what it's about. You don't need it's all preloaded. You don't need to tell people. You can drop them into the story and they know what's going on.
Exactly, and it gave us the opportunity to be able to go, okay, well, we can take this element from this, which is the HMS Thunderchild, and this element where in the book it's a very kind of, like I say, it's a very blink and you'll miss it kind of moment, but it's often, like I say, amongst a lot of the fan base, people really look at it as the last stand of humanity at that time. And obviously, again, Jeff Wayne's musical version made it into this huge bombastic kind of song about it being like everybody's hopes.
It feels like the moment when things are about to change. It feels like the moment when humanity are going to strike back. It doesn't, obviously, spoilers. It doesn't work out that way. I mean, I'm assuming people know that ship's going down.
Yeah.
We can't change the story. We can't change H.G.Wells' novel. That ship is going to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't set out to think, we can do one over on old Herbert.
Brief
You know what I
period of time, yeah, it does look like humanity might have a slimmest of chances. So, yeah, we lean into that in the book as heavily as we can.
Yes.
So let's talk. Excuse me. Let's talk a little bit about the characters in Thunderchild, because there are some interesting ones. Who developed each character that we see on the pages of Thunderchild?
So we never set out to develop individual characters. We set out to write. I write a section, Rob writes a section, but the way it worked, pretty much most of the Major's stuff. So Major Makepeace, the hardcore military guy, the guy who believes in empire and duty and honor and all that kind of stuff. Pretty much all of that is Rob.
The guy you wouldn't want to like, your guy you don't want to like. And that was, like I said, that was a really kind of fun thing to do. But then Matt
end up respecting. I'd see you end up respecting him though. He stands by his. He's not a bad person.
It's nuance, isn't it? It's nuance. It's added nuance in. And like I say, Matt kind of took the reins a lot with regards to Simon Young.
Yeah,
Miriam Young, husband and wife couple that we have in it.
They're a counterpoint to the Major. They're scientists. They represent. So we tried to use the characters to represent Wells's different opinions or different viewpoints from the book. So yeah, the authoritarian idea of empire is represented through Major Makepeace.
Yeah.
Sorry, this background thing is weird. Make my hand. Yeah. And Simon and Miriam Young are the hopeful, optimistic view.
The idealism
that technology is going to improve the human race. So they initially think that the Martians could be there to help. That the first reaction shouldn't be warfare, shouldn't be violence. The first reaction should be to embrace them.
Yeah, and communication and sharing. You know what I mean? Like looking at things that way. Yeah. And then we had characters such as Captain Teresa McDonald.
She kind of sits in between both viewpoints. She's the more practical. She's very practical. Her concerns are the crew of the ship and keeping that ship afloat, basically. So, yeah, she's a much more straightforward character.
Yeah, and you can definitely see the different personalities, because I remember even as soon as in the first few pages, there's questions being asked, and the scientists are just like, because they're just laughing at the person who's looking in the telescope, because she's like,
the Major wants answers. The Major and the scientists are like, that's not how science works.
It's not how science works, and they're just laughing at her.
This is an answer. It's about asking the questions.
But yet they can't really answer the question as to why Mars is appearing in the sky 3 weeks early. So
absolutely.
So
and that's, like I said, that was the beauty of it, kind of coming in and having these kind of very different kind of like almost diametrically opposed characters, and then populating a kind of middle ground in there as well, and being able to kind of it's presented everybody as human in that way more than anything else. It's presented, like I say, the fact that the Youngs are so idealistic, but they almost look down on Captain McDonald when she's doing that. You know what I mean? Because it's a bit like, oh, you silly. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe you don't know these kind of things. It was nice to kind of introduce just these little elements of friction and little elements of, you know what I mean? Like characterization where people could butt up against one another.
Well, we humanize the cast before we brutally kill them all.
Yeah, exactly. We wanted you to like them in some way, shape, or form before they all got burned.
That's how it works, isn't it? You've got to make the audience care, because then when you kill them off, it matters. It carries meaning. So saying that though, spoilers, they might not all die.
Yeah. They might not.
You've got to be a little bit of hope somewhere.
Yeah.
So of course, this isn't an adaptation, as we've seen other writers and other comic creators do. This is a new story, because again, Thunderchild mentioned once, one page blank and you miss it. So how often did you guys find yourselves going back to the book just to make sure you was holding true to the spirit of it?
That was probably more me than Rob. Rob wanted to stick with the feeling behind the song, didn't you? You wanted the groundswell of emotion.
Yeah. We it was a case of like not wanting to be too beholden to it, but Matt. See, this is where it works really well when we work together, because I'm very much kind of charge, kind of let's go, and Matt's very much the voice of reason, where he kind of sits back and goes, well, hang on a minute, what about? And that's where it works. And so
there's a bit halfway through issue 1 where in the initial draft they learn about the Martian invasion through radio signals from land. They're in contact with land through radio signals, and we're writing it. The script's written, and I realised that they did not have.
Yeah, they didn't, did they?
And radio at that point of time, there was no ship-to-land radio communication, so we had to rewrite the script. So it worked in our favour. The very first time the Thunderchild comes across the damage caused by the Martians, it's right in front of them. There's all the ships are on fire. The ocean is ablaze with wrecks and death and destruction. So yeah, it worked much better for us. But yeah, we had to kind of try to keep in mind the framework of Victorian England, but at the same time, yeah, you don't want to contradict anything in the book. Especially the ending.
Yeah.
There are two things that have to happen in War of the Worlds. The Martians have to be defeated through the Common Gold, and for us, the Thunderchild has to sink. So we had to we got to write around Wells' story, but we didn't change a single thing about the actual novel.
No.
So I'm going to be a little honest and say I attempted to read this, and I don't know why I did it this way, but I attempted to read this in Orson Welles' voice while doing the radio show, and it failed because again, you can't really do it that way. But if you had a choice, and this is kind of just a personal choice, did you enjoy the radio broadcast more than the book?
I'm going to admit, I've never listened to the radio broadcast. I know about it. I know about the panic it caused. And I know everything about it, but I've genuinely
actually a myth, the panic.
Is it? Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. I saw a stage play a few years back that basically is all about the fact that it didn't quite happen like that. There was an article written by a newspaper, I believe, on the next day that said, people totally believed it was real, and they didn't. There was an announcement beforehand saying this is fiction. So the book and the radio play are very, very different animals to me. So. And it's like trying to compare the novel and the films. They are such different takes and different approaches. I don't know, apples and oranges. I don't think you can compare them.
Yeah, like I will still enjoy the original movie. I can't stand the Tom Cruise adaptation.
You don't mind the Tom Cruise? See, I struggle a little bit with the original adaptation. Don't mind. I mean, the Tom Cruise one's not brilliant, but it gets a lot of hate.
I didn't initially like it when it came out, the Tom Cruise version. However, when we finished issue 3, I had a day of, my day job is lettering comics, which is really lovely. I get to be kind of involved in comics all the time. And I work from home and I'm sat in my pajamas working, you know what I mean? And I decided to do a marathon of the 1953 adaptation of it, with, you know what I mean, all the invisible tripod legs, you know what I mean, like and stuff, and then did the the 2005 version. And actually, like I say, I came away the same as you, Matt, where it's like, you know what, it actually does have its merits, and you can see that both are very much products of their time in the way they've adapted them. Because the 50s one it very much feels like an allegory of the Cold War. It very much feels like this idea of it being genuinely quite frightened of this technologically superior kind of foe, and you really, really feel that in the way that, like, and then the 2005 one is very much a reaction to the war on terror, and you know what I mean, and everything else, and like 9/11 and living in a post 9/11 world. And so you really kind of get that from the pair of them. So yeah, no, I can't remember where I was going with this point, but yeah, I like them both too, basically is what I'm saying. But yeah, I remember being very dead against the 2005 one when it came out. I was like, it's rubbish. But then I was also a lot younger and a lot, you know what I mean, not as well read and everything else. And so, like, coming back to it, I was much more forgiving.
Theo, have you seen the more recent? Was it who was it? Ice Cube?
It was Ice Cube.
It was Ice
mate.
Cube.
Yeah,
No, I
Ice
have
Cube.
not. I have not. But I said I would.
Yeah, don't bother. Don't waste your time.
Oh wow. Okay, I will take it. I will. Take
I mean, I lasted about half an hour and just I'm like, I should really watch this. It's it's part of something I'm involved with. I should be. I can't watch this. No, I lasted half an hour, so yeah, skip it.
I didn't even do that, mate. I couldn't. Nope. Nope.
You told me you watched the Honest trailer.
I did. I watched the Honest trailer version on YouTube.
And that was enough for you. Yeah,
it was enough. Yeah, like I say, and it saddened me.
Yeah, I love Honest trailers. Those things are hilarious.
They are. They're brilliant. But yeah, no.
When something's good, they will actually say this is good. They will turn and say, "Hang on a second. I know we criticize everything, but this is actually good for a change." So
yeah, we're going to nitpick this one, but yeah, no, don't watch it. Don't watch it, Theo. Don't subject yourself to it. Life is too short.
Okay.
To subject yourself to a 2-hour advert for Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, I for some reason I find myself seeing not as many new movies as I used to. It usually has to be on streaming for a while before I will, and I will have to be bored before I, will. I can't tell you the last time I watched anything on Amazon Prime, on Prime Video. So it's gonna be it's gonna be a minute. So, and that's not anything against Ice Cube. So, this question for each of you: who did you enjoy writing most in the series?
Matt, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I mean, probably. I mean, we kind of covered this a little bit. Probably Simon, because he is so. I mean, by nature, I'm quite a hopeful, optimistic person. So I think I kind of fed that into Simon's belief that a race that's so technologically advanced as the Martians couldn't possibly be just about conquest. There's a beautiful naivety in the way Simon views the world. He can't possibly entertain the idea that an advanced society would be able to harm him. And he takes the blame, him and his wife take the blame for the invasion on themselves, which is, and that's a big part of issue 1. That's a heartbreaking part of issue 1. He's like, we should have rescued the downed Martian. Our first act towards this new race we've just encountered was hostility. No wonder they want to kill us. I mean, he's completely wrong. He's totally wrong in every way. The Martians are arseholes. They're here to destroy and subjugate. They're not concerned about anything to do with compassion. But yeah, no, I love writing Simon. I was heartbroken when I had to write issue.
I'm gonna go. Oh, there we go.
Issue 3. We'll just call it issue 3. It's heartbroken when I had to write a certain scene in issue 3.
I'm gonna say, as much as I took the lead on writing Major Makepeace, writing the Major's voice and everything else, probably my favorite character to write we have a character called Captain Barber. So we introduced this idea of there being a sister ship to the Thunderchild called the Lightning Warrior. And we've set Major Makepeace up as this, you know what I mean? Like he's very much a product of the British military establishment. You know what I mean? He's very much this. And then again, you've got this almost like reflection of that in Captain Barber. Captain Barber is so what we did was I researched about the time, and you had members of the Royal Indian Navy join the British Navy, join the Royal Navy, and
all the historical stuff of Thunderchild is Rob, by the way. So if you have problems with any historical stuff, you can. Rob's the history major.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Am I.
So I really did try to look into it.
Nobody's criticised anything major.
Yeah, I think we're all right.
And I always tell people, my degree's in history. Don't ask why. So
yeah. I like to understand where we came from, because to understand how we are now, we need to understand where we came from. But the character I love writing was Captain Barber, because it was such a break from Major Makepeace, and injecting this idea that you've got someone who has gone through British colonialism in India, which was obviously such an awful time period. And this is someone who went through that, who saw atrocities happen, and saw that by maybe working with the British and working within the Navy, he could help kind of influence kind of directionality and the way people kind of move, and being able to write that. And he's very much the kind of beating heart at the center of what Thunderchild is, which is this idea of like it's the heroic sacrifice. And he very much shows and convinces a lot of the crew of the Thunderchild, or maybe the naysayers, about what they should be doing at that kind of moment. And I really enjoyed getting to write those moments.
That's the issue too, isn't it? Where he's
talking about
ground.
Yeah, and he's talking about the fact that things like society and civilizations, they aren't buildings and these kind of the people. And so it was really nice to be able to have a character that you could kind of dig into and use to kind of effectively put across this idea of, look, I've seen these things, what you're going through, and what we're going through is something that I have witnessed myself at a time. And you need to remember that the structures and everything else around you, these kind of things, they aren't the things that make up who we are as people. So it was really nice to write. It was really nice to have that kind of antithesis to the Major. And again, he's a big kind of influence on the way, because it really did become, the Major was our almost prism for everything. You've got this guy who comes in with such a strong kind of worldview, who we then really bombard with opposite viewpoints and all these kind of things. And it's with people who are very much his equal and can argue back to him in such a way where it will penetrate, it will get through this like kind of air or shield of like, oh yes, very good, stiff upper lip, very British, very brittle and stuff. And it pierces through that and it sticks. And so it was really nice to kind of write very much those kind of characters. So yeah, that was mine in a very long-winded fashion.
So let's talk a little bit, excuse me, a little bit about the art. And I hope I don't butcher Kevin's last name when I say it. But the art from Kevin Castanero, I hope I said it correctly. How did you all connect with him in the initial campaign? Because when I read the story and I'm looking at the pages and the panels, it's almost like I'm reading a comic strip with the art style, and it's good for me from the standpoint of it kind of gives truth to the story being in the time period that it's being held in this comic strip art style. It's really good. I loved it. I was almost reminded of maybe a Doonesbury art style.
Yeah.
And it's really good. So how did you
There's
guys?
a cartoony feel to a lot of what Kevin does, especially his character expressions are very emotional and very emotive. I mean, Kevin was a recommendation from another comic creator, Andrew Clemson, a friend of ours.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we'd looked everywhere, hadn't we, for the right artist. We'd been through everyone, and we could not find. What we really wanted was a UK artist. We sort of felt that was important, but we couldn't find anyone with that kind of style. And Kevin, despite the fact that he's Californian, isn't he, Rob? Yeah,
He is indeed. Yeah, he's a great big mounted man of a man.
yeah.
He's-
I don't think he's Californian. His art style has almost a European feel to it, and as you say, yeah, it's very cartoony, comical in places. And yeah, no, he was perfect. And I've got to say, a lot of people I don't think realize how much the colorist Simon Goff, how much he puts into that book. It would be a totally different experience without his colors. His colors elevate Kevin's work
Yeah.
so much. So yeah,
Yeah, the pair of them worked really well in tandem.
we were really lucky with both of them. But yeah, no. So and Andrew Clemson very helpfully just went, "Have you tried Kevin? I've used him for a couple of bits and pieces, and he was brilliant." So yeah, and he was excellent.
He just threw himself into it. He really did throw himself into the story. I remember us getting things like his character concepts back and how great they were. Because again, excuse me, like we said, they are cartoony. They're very over exaggerated, but it works so well because what you've got is the characters, the way they hold themselves. You know what I mean? They're like their physical attributes, things like that. They very much reflect the inner workings of who those characters are. So like the Major is very angular. He's very angular, very like kind of almost very bristly. Whereas if you look at Simon and Miriam Young, they're much softer. They're very softer kind of designs and much more kind of approachable, in that kind of way. And yet, like I say, you've got Captain McDonald is very ruddy faced and stuff, and it very much reflects characteristics of the personalities that we were putting in, that we were trying to introduce to those characters. It's such a great job on that, and I think that's why it works so well. I think that because as much as it's a story about Martian heat rays and explosions and death and stuff, it's a character driven story. It's very much a character driven story, and it's very much a character piece.
We got a lot of people when we wrote the first issue. We had a lot of reviews come in saying that they expected to open the book up and in the first few pages see a Martian blowing up some soldiers, or destroying a building, or they expected violence and they expected war from the very first page. And the fact that the tripod doesn't actually turn up until page 29, I think it is.
Yeah, 29 or 28, I think it is. Yeah.
So yeah, we got a lot of praise for the restraint that we actually showed in that first issue, building up the tension, building up the background, and basically saying this is it's not actually about the invasion. It's about how the cast reacts to the invasion, about how they basically work themselves into a mess just before they've even seen their first tripod.
Yeah.
So as we come up on time, I want to ask you guys to do one thing, and again, considering the fact that everybody should know War of the Worlds, I'm going to ask you to sell this hardcover to someone who may have never heard of War of the Worlds, who may not even know who H.G. Wells is. How would you sell Thunderchild?
Thunderchild
You're the salesman. Go for it.
Thunderchild is like we've been saying, it is a character-driven story that is about sacrifice. It's about sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds, and it's about coming up against a culture, a group of people, or a group, you know what I mean, a civilization that vastly outmatch and outgun you, and yet it's that all too human thing of we need, you know what I mean, like there is hope, there's always hope, hope prevails, hope survives, and that is very much at the heart of our story, which is the idea that like with humanity we always look for the thin sliver of hope, and as long as hope exists, then, you know, like I say, things can be built upon it. And it's a kind of rip-roaring sci-fi adventure. There are three-legged Martian monstrosities that have heat rays, and up against, you know, technologically inferior opponents. So it's an underdog story. It's a story of sacrifice and bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. It is a character-driven story based on, like I say, unfortunately, themes that when the work it was based on over 100 plus years ago was written are still really prevalent today. And so, yeah, it's that's the way I'd kind of broach it with you, which is if you like sci-fi, if you like, you know what I mean, kind of pulpy adventure, if you like character-driven, emotive stories, you know, we've got the book for you.
So that's all the words you just used there, Rob.
Everyone,
every sentence you've left nothing for me at all. It's a bunch of pretty pictures, ruined by but terrible lettering. Yeah, whoever did the lettering, Rob, was yeah. No, to be perfectly honest, I can't add much to what Rob said. Maybe look at the world today. It could be pretty bleak in places. A little bit of hope goes a long way. And yeah, that's what we tried to make Thunderchild about. The fact that there's never going to be a happy ending to that book. The crew, the ship is going down. But we can still encourage some hope. We can still say that there's always a small victory to be had, even when it seems that it's at its darkest. Then yeah, maybe we can apply that to the world around us.
And that spark of hope can also come from the strangest and most unexpected of places.
You're stealing my words again.
Oh yeah, mate. Yeah.
oh, the worst. Yeah, no. Also, for me and Rob, it was really fun to work on. It was one of the best, probably the best creative experience of my life. It was so much fun to work with the entire team on it and to bounce ideas off of Rob. So yeah, it was a good laugh. Now we want people to go and buy it. Go and buy it.
Yeah, go buy it.
The title is War of the Worlds, Thunderchild. It is out from Titan Comics June the 2nd. You still have time to pre-order it. FOC is not until May 11th. So if you want to go out there and get your copy, get into your local comic shop and get your orders in, so that they have two editions. They have a regular edition that I believe is going to like the Barnes and Nobles of the world, and then there's a direct market cover as well. So you have a choice. So make sure you get out there. So
well, you don't have a choice. What it is like we all exist in this collector's niche. So you know, don't miss out on
get both. Get both.
Yeah.
Get both. So before I let you all go, a few last things, projects that you all can talk about. Matt, you know, CyberArchy just finished. The trade is out there. Anything you could speak on as far as what you're working on right now?
So yeah, the trade for CyberArchy hits imminently. I would love it if that was to do really well, because I would like some more work from publishers. I've got a sci-fi horror story coming out through Shift magazine in June. Thunderchild. What else are we working on? What else have we got knocking around? Well, we got.
Oh, Matt and I are working with
Okay.
legend Andy Lanning
We got
of Gardens of the Galaxy.
That comes out next month. So we have a book that ties into the Cryptothera board game. Me and Rob and Andy Lanning have written stories for. That comes out next week.
Working on design and background and stuff. It's a mixture of comic art and lore book and things like that kind of fused together. So you've got comic stories throughout. You've also got these kind of background bits as well, which is really cool.
And we might be working on sequels for Thunderchild. Now, might be that ship's sunk, so we're not, that ship's not coming back. But there might be a survivor.
Yeah,
might be still a story to tell. So, yeah, we've got quite a few bits and pieces. Can't talk about much at the moment, can we? So.
I mean, not with writing and stuff. Like lettering-wise, I've got Stan Junipero for the second Black Mirror adaptation. I'm lettering the Discworld adaptations. I'm working on the last Starfighter, which is really cool. I'm doing the lettering for that. So that's really wicked. There's some Flash Gordon stuff as well. Then I'm doing a lot for Mad Cave. There's some image series I'm working on that I can't say what they are. Stuff, and there's, like I say, all sorts of other bits. So yeah, like I say, written work, we're kind of a little bit hamstrung at the moment, which is, it's a lovely position to be in, that we've got like some great stuff that we're on the cusp of being able to talk about.
It's a bunch of pictures as well that are ready to go at the moment. So if anyone is watching this from a publisher and think they look like two very nice gentlemen, they look friendly and kind, and you'd like to look at some of our pictures, please drop us a line. Well, let's be shameless. That's the only way to get anywhere.
Yeah, and Rob, you've already finished up your work on the thing on the doorstep. That is still being published by Image Comics. We're reviewing it on the website. Beastfire.
It's a great book. Boo. Boo, Simon. Boo, Simon.
Yeah, if you haven't not heard of it, it is strictly within the world of H.P. Lovecraft. So if you are a Lovecraftian person, if you just dig those things, that is the story for you.
Yeah, if you like your horror cosmic and your name's unpronounceable, like say, H.P. Lovecraft is very much for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as always, before I let you all go, as we do with all of our guests who join us on here, we finish things up with rapid fire. All right. So here are the rules. Rapid fire, you get two choices. There are no right or wrong answers. It's just throwing it out there. You whatever reason you want to come up with, that's your reason. All right. Let me know when you all are ready.
Okay, who wants to? Are we answering at the same time or separately?
No, I will give you both the same two, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right. First up, Batman or Moon Knight? Matt.
Moon Knight.
You are Moon Knight.
Absolutely Moon Knight. Batman's overexposed too much. I mean, the current Batman book, the Faction Batman book at the moment, is superb. So is the current Moon Knight book, the Jed MacKay Moon Knight book. Absolutely brilliant. But Batman is insane. Moon Knight is completely insane. So always Moon Knight.
Batman, my name's Robin. So Batman. There we go.
So ironically, in my list of favorite characters, it is Batman 1, She-Hulk 2, Moon Knight is number 3. So Moon Knight has always been up there. All right. Next up. Ready? War of the Worlds or the Time Machine?
War of the
Worlds.
Okay.
I mean, we kind of have to say that, but
yeah, okay.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the Time Machine. Big fan, but yeah, no, War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds.
More of an impact.
All right. Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel?
Wonder Woman. I presume you mean Carol Danvers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Do you know what? I'm going to go Captain Marvel. Actually, to be fair, I really enjoyed the Kelly Sue DeConnick run.
Yeah,
love that. I love Captain Marvel.
Have you read the current Tom King Wonder Woman run?
Oh yeah,
I haven't yet. No, I haven't.
Oh, I should read that. Oh, it's good, mate.
you got it.
It's good.
Tom King's run has been the best since Greg Rucka, in my opinion. For me,
Okay.
it has been
Very,
absolutely
very
great.
good. Yeah.
All right, Spidey or Tony Stark?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Always.
Always.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
You just listed off your three favorite superheroes. My three favorite superheroes are Spider-Man, and Spider-Man. I mean, I grew up with Peter Parker. Peter Parker grew up the same age. As I've grown, Peter Parker's grown. I adore Peter Parker. You cannot get a better superhero than Peter Parker.
Okay. Thanos or Darkseid?
Thanos, because he's your cat.
Ah, there you go. Good answer.
That's a tough one, isn't it? Dark Side. Go.
You sound a little uncertain, but you're gonna stick with it.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed either way.
Okay. And this is going to be the last one. Batman the Animated Series or Justice League Unlimited?
Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, yeah, but Justice League Unlimited builds on Batman Animated Series.
No, I know, but without Batman the Animated Series, you wouldn't have.
No, sorry. What am I? No, Unlimited. Which one was Unlimited? I'm thinking of the Dwayne McDuffie one, which is that's
Unlimited. Yeah,
it's Unlimited.
Yes,
Unlimited, because that's basically it's the animated series plus everyone else.
Yeah.
No, Batman the Animated Series. I have such fond memories of, you know what I mean, being a kid on a Saturday morning, it being on. You know what I mean? I've got Lego spread out all over the living room floor.
You still have Lego spread out all over the living room floor.
I do, yeah. I'm just saying
that, as well.
That's now. I'm talking about my memories of it. You know what I mean? So sat there watching that. You know what I mean? The second you've got that beautiful Art Deco Gotham, you know what I mean, all that kind of stuff. Yes, no, Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, and this is the one question that everyone gets, and everyone who has selected Justice League Unlimited has given the same reason as Matt with regards to the influence that Dwayne McDuffie had on the series. And yeah, so right now, it's actually tied, since it's still tied between Batman the Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited. Again, I give it to every guest on the show.
They're both amazing.
Oh, they are. I love them both, but I love seeing the reaction when I ask the question, because some folks just do not want to choose, because again, Batman the Animated Series kicked it all off. It kicked it all off, but then you get Justice League Unlimited and you're like, I can't pass up everyone. Rob Jones, Matt Hardy, how can fans keep up with you to find out what projects are going on and just to know what's out there for you?
Blue Sky, Facebook. I'm only on those two now. That's all I use these days. A little bit of Instagram. How about you, Rob?
Rob Jones Writes on Blue Sky and Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can also find me in the local park, shouting at the pigeons. Really, really loudly. Buy my books, pigeons! And they're normally, really kind of like
underwear hanging out the back of his trousers.
Yeah, mate, dressing gown clad. Yeah, bunny slippers on. Yeah, kebab meat hanging out of them.
Any park up north somewhere will have a Rob in it somewhere.
Yeah, generally, we're like multiple man. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of us all around, but only one.
This has been a joy. Rob Jones, Matt Hardy. Again, the title is War of the Worlds, Thunder Child. It's out in hardcover on June 2nd. Get out there, get both copies, both covers.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you both so much for joining me here on the Comic Bin.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Been very, very welcoming. Thank you.
And so I want to thank Matt and Rob again for joining me here on the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. War of the Worlds Thunderchild is out on shelves on June the 2nd. You'll not only be able to pick it up from comic book shops, but also from traditional stores as well. So if you have a Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, you should be able to find it there as well from Titan Comics. Truly enjoyed it. It was quite an interesting read considering the last time I've read anything regarding War of the Worlds, it was the book itself from H.G.Wells. But again, it's out on shelves, takes an interesting take at something that wasn't as vital to the story of War of the Worlds. However, they were able to flesh a lot of the story out in looking at what happened in that one page in which the Thunderchild appeared in the novel and was able to get a full story out of it. So again, take a look at it. Truly enjoyed it, especially if you are a fan of H.G. Wells and War of the Worlds. But with that being said, I want to go ahead and before I jump into my top 5, I'll go ahead and do my indie spotlight. And it was really interesting when I was thinking about what I was going to select for this episode, that a few days after I made the decision to run with it, came out some vital news. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the indie spotlight. So originally, my indie spotlight was meant to be Noir the New Black Season 2, Episode 2. But considering the news that came out over this past week announcing that the entire second season has been nominated for an Eisner, I'm going to talk a little bit more just about the series itself. So I have been a fan of the folks at FairSquare Graphics since Noir the New Black, the very first volume, released several years ago through Kickstarter. I backed that campaign without a doubt, and been a fan of theirs ever since. I backed several of their campaigns, have many comics from them, both digitally and physically. And I've also had Fabrice Sapolsky, the publisher, on the show as well to talk about, Fair Square and what they're doing and their place in the industry. But I can't be more than happy to see that season 2 is nominated for an Eisner. That goes not only to the work that Fabrice and the team at Fair Square has put in to bring season 2 to light, but also the work of the creators who contributed to the stories in season 2. When season 2 was first announced, I wasn't quite sure how I felt about it, especially considering how the first volume of Noir the New Black first released. Again, it was a thick anthology of about 10-15 stories, and I truly enjoyed that, and of course, an anthology always leaves space open to tell more. And when we get to season 2, that's kind of what happened, particularly with the Little Rock Files. It made its first appearance in that first volume of Noir the New Black, and then also the Winterfields. Now, the Winterfields weren't in the original version of Noir the New Black. It came out in a deluxe edition that came out maybe a year or so after the first volume came out, but I was able to pick that up as well just so that I can read that story. I wanted to make sure that I was familiar with the Winterfields before reading the story that began in season 2. But yeah, I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but after reading episode 1, that first issue of this second volume, and seeing how having the shorter stories or the shorter number of stories truly allow the story overall to really be fleshed out and give more, I was more than happy with the idea of having these episodes as part of the season. So, I'm probably going to have Fabrice back on the show again. The third episode 3, is going to be releasing on Kickstarter. I think it's going to do it the first week of June, if not soon after that. But yeah, I have always been a fan of Noir's New Black, and I've always been a fan of the creators of Noir's New Black, and these 3 stories that have been in season 2 have just been great. I am most interested in the Winterfields. It's just been a far better story from the standpoint of what I truly enjoy in a book. Again, it's not a superhero. None of the stories, first of all, in Noir is New Black, is a superhero story from the standpoint of capes. When we look at the title, it kind of tells you everything you need to know about what Noir's New Black is about. It's about that genre, that genre of noir stories. And so truly enjoyed the Winterfields, but from Joe Ilyich, and it's been great for all 2 issues. The third one, like I said, is getting ready to release on Kickstarter. I already signed up on the pre-launch page. I'll have the link to that in the show notes in case you want to sign up for it as well. And I'm sure there'll be a way for you to get the other 2 episodes, episode 1 and 2, if you have not picked up on it yet. But yeah, I've always enjoyed what the folks at FairSquare Graphics have been putting out, and they are more than deserving for this Eisner nomination. And again, I want to congratulate not only Fabrice and the folks there, including Crystal, his partner in crime there at FairSquare, but also the creators for putting those 3 stories together that have just been really good, some really great storytelling, and these are some of the best creators that are out there on the indie scene. Not discounting the work that Joe Ilyich has put out in the big 2 as well, particularly over at DC. But these indie stories that they have put together have just been great. So yeah, that's my spotlight for this week. Again, if you have not picked up on Noir's The New Black yet, you'll have an opportunity to do so when episode 3 of season 2 rolls out in June. Again, I'll have the link to the show note in the show notes to the pre-launch page on Kickstarter. So you'll be able to take a look and sponsor the campaign once it releases. I have been a day 1 starter on each of the 2 episodes of season 2, as well as a day 1 backer for the original version as well. But again, that's my indie spotlight for this week. Noir's The New Black, season 2, the entirety of season 2. Episodes 1 and 2 are already available. Episode 3, the campaign for that will be starting in the next week or so over on Kickstarter. So again, be on the lookout for it and back it, and let's bring that final issue of this second season to life, so that folks like me can enjoy it. So I'll definitely be backing it, as I've always done when that story comes out. But that's my indie spotlight for this week. Noir's The New Black, season 2, episodes 1, 2, and the upcoming issue 3 as well. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get into my top 5. There were a lot of great, let's just go ahead and bring up the whole 5 thing. But before I get into the actual top 5, there were a ton of good books that were really out this week. And I want to mention at least 3 honorable mentions. First up, Exit City #6 over at Mad Cave Studios. Wonder Woman #33 from DC Comics, and Star Trek The Last Starship #7 over at IDW Publishing. Those 3 were really on the cusp of breaking it into the top 5. So I really wanted to give those 3 books a shout out of all the other titles that were out there. But in the number 5 spot, Gotcha Man #18 from Sam Humphries and Chris Batista over at Mad Cave Studios. And so my love of Gotcha Man hasn't been as high with Sam Humphries since he's been on the writing duties. And there have been a few reasons for it. First up, there have been a lot of unanswered questions since Cullen Bunn's run ended with issue #10, and the answers to a lot of those holes that had been left unanswered has been slowly coming in and just hasn't been getting answered as quickly as I would have wanted it to. And as you know, we've gotten some of those questions answered. There have been some more that have popped up, and I don't know if I am totally crazy about this whole Phantom Ascendancy thing, but in this issue, we see where they are laying the groundwork for what is going to be happening in the next few issues, where I think the Science Ninja team are going to be going blow to blow with the Ascendancy, and we see that all get laid out. While we see Galactor make their presence known as well with the mecha that they release on both the Science Ninja team and the Ascendancy. But we learn a little bit more about the Ascendancy and the fact that they are members or former members of the ISO. They are familiar with Dr. Nambu. They worked for Dr. Nambu and just felt that, the ways that things were going with the ISO wasn't going quick enough. So they kind of put themselves in this stasis that allowed them to basically speed their thought process and speed their mind up. But what we also figure out is that they aren't as nice as we thought they would or thought they were. And, as in all things which seems too good to be true is almost always certainly that case. It's too good to be true. And we see that a few times when they snap. They snap at June for just asking questions about how they do certain things or why they do certain things the way they do. But I think they're going to really come to blows in the next few issues. Now, I tell you now, if somehow we get a team up of Galactor and the Science Ninja team that got to take the Ascendancy down, that is something that I am not looking forward to. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's just, I don't know. It just seems like one of those things that you could see as a possibility, if only temporarily. But the art from Chris Batista continues to be the highlight of this series. So much so, I am almost considering getting a few extra copies of the last few issues because I really want to get the connecting covers that he's doing Inaki Miranda continues to be the primary cover artist for this series, but the connecting covers from Chris Batista looks really interesting. This one for this issue has June on it, and I think I am going to just go back and collect those so that I can see what it looks like in the end with the connecting covers. But again, after last issue, which again really kind of took me down a peg, I wasn't really crazy about it and how it introduced the ascendancy and what we see with the ascendancy. This issue really kind of brought me back only because of what I'm expecting to happen and what I'm hoping to happen in upcoming issues as the Science Ninja team start to realize that things aren't as good as they might have thought things would have been with the ascendancy and with the way they're putting up these spires across the planet. I don't think Earth is going to be a better place for it. But that again, that is my number 5 book for this week. Gotcha Man number 18 from writer Sam Humphries and artist Chris Batista over at Mad Cave Studios. Okay, in the number 4 spot, Neighborhood Watch number 2, written by Sarah Gailey with art from Hating over at Boom Studios. Well, if issue number 1 was a doozy, issue number 2 really takes you for a loop. So we see at the end of the first issue, Val and Bianca find a woman that's been shot in this tunnel that they both surprisingly have found from each side of their particular side of their town. But as we get into issue 2, we start to learn of a double life because we know that this lady is now known by 2 different names to Val and Bianca respectively. So she's either Cassie or she's Jill. And so, Bianca knows her as Jill, Val knows her as Cassie, and we see that this lady's been living a double life. They basically, know who she is and realize that she's been living this double life. So the question now comes up, why? And so, Bianca goes on a mission, heading back to her home at the HOA to try to figure out what's going on with Jill. And again, her relationship with Jill far exceeds what goes on with Cassie over with Val. Because Jill is in a relationship with Bianca, so Bianca really wants to know what's going on because she really has feelings for Jill / Cassie. But the other thing that we get to is we're introduced again to Cassie's daughter, who first went to Val in the first issue looking for her mom. And we learn that there's a reason why she is now living over with Val and her group over on that side of town. And the reason is because of the father, Cassie / Jill's husband, who's a police officer. And, her daughter reveals that, she was going back and forth because she, was trying to keep her safe, but also not lead her husband on with, where things might be. But by the time we get to the end of the issue, she reveals that she wanted to live at the, with the grassroots folks permanently. But, ironically, Bianca, on the other end, she's back home and, she makes her way to Jill's house, trying to search for information regarding what could be going on between her friend and lover. But But, while there, she's not necessarily confronted. Jill's husband shows up, and again, he's a police officer. So, he shows that he says that he's worried about where his wife could be and that she's been missing. And he asks Bianca to please, let him know if she hears from her. But before he made his way into that room, Bianca was able to get this file that Jill was apparently keeping on the neighborhood. And by the time she makes her way back home to, see what was in this file, she finds that Jill was really investigating what was going on. She figures that, she sees that Val has a criminal record. She thinks that there's a lot of drugs that's being sold or trafficking that's going on. And so Bianca's really trying to figure out what the hell is going on and what Val's role is regarding it. But also, Val is being told by Jill/Cassie's daughter that Cassie wanted to stay. She did not want to go back home. She did not want to go back to her husband. So we got conflicting stories going on, and it could only mean that once Bianca makes her way back to check on her loved one, that she will confront Val as well. But this is a really good issue. I was not expecting to enjoy this comic as much as I am. I'm about to call it Bianca, but Beastfire Kayla has been reviewing it over on the site, and each issue she has given rave scores to it, and they are totally worth it and deserving of it, because I am really enjoying this far more than what I was expecting to. And the art from Hainig, you just gotta love it. I mean, I've loved her covers that she's done for issues in the past for the different publishers. So to see her not only doing the cover work but also doing the interiors just makes it that much better. And I'm truly enjoying this series as we now get ready for issue number 3 and see how Bianca and Val confront each other, especially with the file that Bianca found. But I'm also interested to see what happens with Jill/Cassie's husband, the cop. Once it's obvious that he knows more than what he's letting on. And so it will be interesting to see what happens once all of that is revealed and his role in all of that. Was he the one who shot his wife? We don't know, but we shall see eventually, I would think. But yeah, this is gonna be a real good ride with this story. I'm definitely gonna continue reading this one. And again, like I said, Kayla did a review of both issues 1 and 2. They're up on the website. They both received top scores. I believe she gave this one a perfect 10. But yeah, this is a really good story. I'm really enjoying it. I love the art, and the story is surprisingly good. So yeah, I think you will enjoy it too. If you're not reading it, I suggest you pick it up. But that is my number 4 book for this week. Neighborhood Watch number 2 from Sarah Gilly with art from Haining over at Boom Studios. Okay, in the number 3 spot, Absolute Green Lantern number 1, written by Ponsac Picheshote with art from Raphael Albuquerque over at DC Comics. Whoa. Well, again, we already know Oliver Queen is dead, and we have no clue who's behind the mask. But man, is this longbow killer ruthless or what? So we see now, if you remember Hector Hammond in the Absolute Universe, he's just this I don't give a flute, type of businessman. He's a part of this evil quarry that's, kind of behind everything. And Longbow just, takes him out. I mean, he doesn't kill him, but when you see how he laced that arrow and it just eats away at Hammond's skin, and yeah, this I mean, he kills another guy. It's just rootless. So I can only imagine who it is under the mask. Is it Roy? Or it could not be Roy. It could be someone completely different. I would expect it to be Roy, considering his lineage with Oliver, who is, of course, dead, killed by Hawkman. But yeah, it's going to be real interesting. And I truly hope that the creative team takes their time revealing who the Longbow Killer is. We got a real good introduction to Dinah, who, has her issues in this universe. This is definitely not the Dinah Lance that we are used to, as Black Canary. And, I would assume that she's not going to be Black Canary in this story, at least from the way it's playing out thus far. But it's going to be real interesting once these two really cross. She got her introduction to the Longbow Killer in trying to protect Hector Hammond and Malcolm Merlin. And, we saw how that all played out. But yeah, this was just, man, after we got that intro, when we introduced to Dinah, and we get a little bit of her story, including her story with Ollie before he died. Once that was all said and done, and we see Longbow just go after everyone, after already killing the Slade guy at the beginning of the issue. It was just nonstop action. Nobody could stop him, including Dinah. And, we saw what happened to Hector at the end, once that bow grazed him and started, eating at his face. Yeah, but I'm totally on board with this story, with Absolute Green Lantern #1. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Dinah and Longbow truly cross paths. I would assume that, again, this is assuming that Ollie is dead, and we saw his body delivered in Absolute Evil. So it's safe to assume that Ollie is dead, but we shall see. But I would think that Longbow has some type of personal connection to Dinah, considering everything, with Longbow is based off of what happened with Ollie and Ollie's company. So we shall see what happens, next with issue 2. But I truly hope that they take their time before revealing who Longbow Killer is. And yeah, I think it's going to be a real surprise. I don't think it's Ollie. I think in this universe, dead is dead and Ollie's dead. Especially, considering how Absolute Evil ended and how his body was delivered by Hawkman to the cadre of villains. But yeah, I'm really digging this. And from the art, the art was really good. It looked a little bit different, with what Raphael Albuquerque is doing compared to how he usually does his covers. But I really like the art style, and I'm really excited to see where this story goes next. I was when it was first announced, I was wondering what they could possibly do, considering how Absolute Evil ended with Ollie getting killed. But we shall see what comes next. I was pleasantly surprised with how this first issue ended, and can't wait to see what's next. But that is my number 3 book for this week. Absolute Green Arrow #1 from writer Ponsac Pichette and art from Raphael Albuquerque over at DC Comics. In the number 2 spot, Batwoman #3, written by Greg Rucka with art from Donnie over at DC Comics. Oh my. Ooh. So if you thought the ending of issue 2 was crazy with Kate shooting somebody, yeah, the end of issue number 3 just blows that one completely out the water. You know, when this series first started, the big thing that I complained about, and it was really minute, was the fact that they put Kate back in the wig. I had really gotten used to her having her natural semi-long hair that she was wearing in Outsiders, and now she's back in the wig because I guess she shaved her head. But yeah, man, I don't know. So there is a lot of demons going on in Kate's head right now, and it has truly changed everything that you may want to know about Kate. This is an elegy. You know, if you remember Greg Rucka's run on Detective Comics when he wrote the Batwoman story, this is nowhere near it. And you know, he is bringing Kate and us as readers through the ringer with these demons that she's dealing with. And her father Jacob is truly, you know, at wit's end in trying to get her back together. You know, whether it's telling her doctor at the facility she's staying at, or supposedly staying at, you know, to keep an eye on her. He's reaching out to Batman, you know, who would be one of the last people you would think he would reach out to, you know, and finally we see one of the few people who have been able to get to Kate, Renee Montoya, aka The Question, make her way to Italy. And it's just some great writing from Greg Rucka in putting this story together. You know, just the demons of Kate and everything that she's been dealing with since the death of Elizabeth has just been, you know, eating at her. And she is not the person, you know, that her dad or anyone else might think she is. You know, I remember when during James Tynion's run on Detective Comics, you know, how much, you know, I really, for lack of better words, despise Kate for what she did with Basil and shooting and apparently killing but not killing him. But man, it has been one of those stories that's just, ooh, this is crazy. And, you know, to the point, again, if you haven't read it, I'm sorry, but, you know, to see Kate not only shoot someone and kill someone in issue 2, but to go as far as to stab Renee and leave her there bleeding at the end of this issue was just, you know, I was not expecting that, especially considering the relationship these two have. I mean, you can go as far back as or as recent as what's been going on in Justice League Unlimited, and you know, that spin-off miniseries that focused on Renee as, you know, head of security and head of you know, security on the Watchtower. But yeah, man, this is some real deep stuff that Greg Rucka is doing, and the art from Donnie is just it brings a sense of seriousness to it. It really fits with how strong of a story we have going here, and I really appreciate that. Now, I also can't, not go without talking about the variant cover from Stefan Sejic. It's the one that I picked up. It's the one I pick up every issue thus far with this run, and that's not to take away from the art from Donnie. Again, it's been great. I've been loving it, but just those covers he does has just been wonderful. But yeah, what I'm getting with this series thus far is not what I was expecting at all. And I'm happy about that. Again, just the shock of everything. But yeah, I can't wait to see the fallout from this. Bruce was like, when Jacob asks for help, he'll say, I'll see what I can do. But, what happens now that we find out that, she's gone a step further and, stabbing someone she apparently loves. So, how do you respond to that? I can't wait to see what happens next. But yeah, this could have been my top book for the week if not for the story that came out at number one. But yeah, this was really a good story. Yeah, check out the review that Ian put on the Batman universe as well to get his thoughts on it. But yeah, that's my number 2 book for this week. Batwoman number 3 from writer Greg Rucka with art from Donnie over at DC Comics. And so we have reached the end. My number 1 book for this past week, May 20th, 2026. And my number 1 book for this week, Ultimate Impact Reborn number 1, written by Chris Condon with art from Stefano Caselli over at Marvel Comics. So you don't necessarily need to have read Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion to kind of get an idea of what's going on, because they kind of give you a little bit of a backstory at the beginning of this. But for full details, you could, of course, go ahead and check it out. Check out that little mini series. But yeah, in Incursion, Miles Morales makes his way to the Ultimate Universe, realizes it's not his Ultimate Universe. As he heads out that way, he's actually searching for his sister Billy. But while there, he meets up with Iron Lad, aka Tony Stark, and Tony gives him origin boxes, and the origin boxes, of course, are the pieces of history that the maker stole in order to make the world that he created for himself, where he was basically God. But Tony gives Miles these origin boxes to keep safe, so Miles brings them back to 616, and at some point he decides he's going to bring these boxes to his Tony Stark, and and before he gets the chance to do so, he is confronted by Spot, his arch nemesis from most of his story. But he and Spot have it out. Spot is on a mission to steal those origin boxes. Someone has hired him to do so, and so he and Miles fight, and they travel through, Spot's dimension and how he can go from one universe to another. And eventually Miles and Spot loses the origin boxes that Miles has, and they turn up in the hands of 4 individuals, and apparently these boxes hold the power of Juggernaut, Wonder Man, Stephen Strange and the original Captain Marvel. And we get to see, at least as the boxes are open, we get to see the Wonder Man character take place, and it was kind of being hinted at throughout the story that this individual, Ben Lerner, will gain the powers of Wonder Man. But it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out, because I don't know if all of the boxes that will be open or that are being opened will fall into the hands of those who would do good with them. And you can kind of get an idea by looking at a bunch of the variant covers as to whether or not these folks might end up on the good side or not. But other than Wonder Man, I am looking forward to seeing what happens with the person who ends up with the power of Stephen Strange. And it seems that this person will be going by the name Sightseer. But I'm quite interested in to see where this story goes and who all it will involve, because it's because of Miles' place now in 616, it would not be out of the realm of possibility to see multiple individuals with similar powers walking around. I mean, we have two Spider-Men walking around in the Marvel universe right now, so it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility to see multiple people with the powers of magic like Stephen Strange or the powers of Wonder Man walking around. So I'm on board with this just to see how it all plays out, and I'm really interested to see who the buyer is, who the big bad is, the one who hired Spot to go out and get the boxes from Miles. But yeah, we will see. Truly enjoyed it. I thought the art was really good. The covers are great, and it hints at the four characters who are going to be the focal point of the story and the powers that they each will be gaining. So yeah, I'm on board with this. I think for me, other than Wonder Man, again, like I mentioned earlier, Sightseer is the one I'm more interested in seeing, just to see how she handles the powers of not necessarily the Sorcerer Supreme, or maybe so. So maybe she won't be seeing Stephen Strange, but maybe interacting more with Wanda, who is currently the Sorcerer Supreme in 616. But we shall see how it all plays out with these four individuals who seem to be the focal point of this story. I am definitely looking forward to see how it all plays out, especially as we see the Ultimate Universe, that storyline come to an end in the next few months. But yeah, I'm on board, ready to see what's coming next. But yeah, that's my number one book for this past week. Ultimate Impact Reborn #1, from writer Chris Condon, with art from Stefano Caselli over at Marvel Comics. So there you have it. That's my top 5 for this past week, and that is going to do it for this episode of the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in. As before, thanks to Rob and Matt for joining me as well to talk about War of the Worlds, Thunderchild. Next week, I am going to be sitting with comic book publisher and writer Tony Cottrell over at Avid Comics, and we're going to talk about a lot of the projects that they have going on. They got a busy year coming up with regards to their 17th anniversary that they're celebrating this year. And I'll be doing another indie spotlight, as well as looking into my favorite books for this upcoming new comic book day, which is May 27th, 2026. But until then, I want to thank you all for joining me and supporting the show. If this is your first time, again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you can get notifications of future episodes as they drop. I've got a lot of stuff planned on in the upcoming future. Speaking of which, for those of you that are going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, and attending HeroesCon the second weekend of June, be on the lookout. I am going to be moderating a panel at HeroesCon this year. It's going to be on comic book podcasting, so I'll have some folks in the comic book podcasting world joining me on stage, and we're going to be looking at it specifically from the perspective of people of color. So be sure, if you are in the Charlotte area that weekend, it's the weekend before Father's Day, make sure you check out our panel. We'll be on stage Saturday at 3:30 Eastern over at the Charlotte Convention Center. So I'm pretty excited about that, and looking forward to seeing a bunch of folks out there. Again, come show your support. I'll be having some gifts and contests that'll be going on that day, on that Saturday, as we do that panel. But again, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you all next week. Again, got a great show lined up for next week as well. But until then, keep reading those comics. That is going to do it for this episode of the Comic Bin Comic Book Podcast. I'd like to thank you all for your continued support of the program. The Comic Bin Podcast, as well as the Comic Book Spot, are a part of the Comic Book Source family of sites and media. You can follow the podcast on Twitter X at comic_bin, or my personal account at BatmanFan_4life. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. We're all over social media. You can also follow our sister site over at thebatmanuniverse.net for all of your news and reviews in the world of Batman. Tune in next time as we give you more in the world of comic books. Again, we truly appreciate your support. But until we meet again next time, keep reading those comics.